I am truly amazed these days at the way I see older generations talking about the youngest generations and the problems that they have with them. We hear this stuff in the media and the workplace like constantly, that the younger generation doesn't have the same work ethic and they're not willing to sacrifice their mental health for work, and they just don't work hard enough, and they're also lazy, and blah, 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 and on and on and on, right? They just spend their lives with their nose in their phones. We hear this stuff constantly, and to me, it makes the older generations sound so deeply out of touch. I mean, like, think about the fact that the current cultural narrative is that it is absolutely okay for older generations to bag on the younger generations for caring about their mental health. Like, how fucking bananas is that they can even say stuff like that with a straight face? I have never been prouder of the generations coming up behind me. I'm kind of in that like elder millennial Gen X, like pocket generation. I was born in 1980, and like maybe we have kind of a different perspective. I talk to a lot of people that are right around my age that it's like we are this funny pocket generation because we saw the world before the internet and we saw the world after the internet. Like our developmental years were like we hit right in the middle. So by high school, we had the internet, but all the way through our elementary years, we didn't. So we have this very unique cultural experience. And to me, I think it really affects how we see leading the next generation. And to me, I think it's astoundingly amazing and a show of progress that the generation coming up behind us who have like so much crap stacked against them. I cannot fathom coming out of college these days. I thought it was hard when I was doing it in the 90s, and we had no idea how good we had it and how much easier things were back then, let alone like the boomer generations. To me, I think that every generation could learn from the youngest generation, where they are prioritizing mental health. They are paying attention to things like the fact that walking in at 8:05 in the morning instead of 8 o'clock really doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things. And maybe we don't need to be so worried about that. Like, there are problems that need solving in every workplace. And we have to understand that the world is complicated. Traffic is worse than it ever was. Public transit is less reliable. It is harder than it has ever been to get from point A to point B on time, no matter where you live, no matter what your circumstances are. And with the youngest generation, you got to remember that like these people might not have cars. Like they might be biking to work. Like they're not in a privileged place where they can always make that happen for themselves as easily as you would like them to. And maybe we just stop fucking worrying about it. If they're coming and they're doing a good job, why do we have a problem with that exactly? Because it doesn't fit into our paradigms? Maybe it's time to change our paradigms. Why is that such a hard thing to think about? Isn't evolution of leadership supposed to do exactly that? You don't get to pick and choose the age of the people that you work with, or the socioeconomic status, or the race, or the sexual orientation. We simply don't get to pick that when we become leaders. You shouldn't get to pick that. And this generation gets that better than every other. Let them lead you. Let them teach you things. Ask them questions. Understand why this is what their sense of humanity needs. And maybe you'll learn a thing or two and your people won't get so burned out that are at the top echelons of leadership. Because your mental health has probably been suffering for years. You've just been closing your eyes and going la 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 to it, right? So maybe let them teach you a few things. That's the mark of the best leader, is the ones who have something to learn from the newest employees.